Hey guys, welcome back. So we are going to cover not watching. We are covering um Agent Carter season 1. So this was on TV a while back, and this takes place after Captain America First Avenger. This centers around Agent Carter and what happens to her after World War II. She does end up living in the States, and um we don't really see any, or we don't see much of a reference to Captain America except for like a few bits here and there, but we do see more of Agent Carter's history, her ability, and there is a huge link with Howard Stark being Tony Stark's dad. And this makes sense to, um, what was it, Civil War, I think it was. Um, but this would be the second thing that you should watch after Captain America. So, let's just roll into the Easter eggs so it'll make more sense to you guys. Episode 1, Now is Not the End. So, this episode starts with what happened at the end of Captain America the First Avenger, and Captain America going down, and Agent Carter, holding on to that hope. It then fast forwards to where this entire season is going to take place, which is New York City in 1946. We learn in this episode that Stark is dealing with some things. He made some more scientific advancements and technology and weapons, and he is under scrutiny from the government, and they want to arrest him. Now, you might have heard of SSR between Captain America, the First Avenger, and a lot of these episodes. It does stand for Strategic Scientific Research. Just wanted to throw that in there just in case. Now, during this, we find out that there is someone who is a Reich. They want to be the next Red Skull, aka the villain from the first movie, and they're trying to get their hands on Stark's technology, and they are framing Stark. Now, while Stark is on the run, they come across Raymond. Raymond is one of these low-level dealers, right, in the weapons industry, and they really want to catch that bad guy who wants to be that next Red Skull. So they're going to try to set this person up. And then we have the end of the episode where Peggy is looking at Captain America's folder and seeing his original picture. You gotta remember, back in the first film, this is what he originally looked like before the super soldier serum. So he was supposed to be like that Spider-Man, someone that people can relate to. But it didn't go over as well in Stan Lee's mind, even though Captain America was his first superhero. Spider-Man happened to be the big bucks for Stan Lee, more relatable. Episode 2, Bridge in the Tunnel. So in this episode, Peggy expressed, her dismay at, following orders. She's very much following in the footsteps of what Captain America would do, right? WWCAD, right? What would Captain America do? And because of how she's treated at the SSR, and because she's a woman, they see her as less than. So she goes behind people's backs, right? And she tries to solve things on her own. Now, in this reference, the owner of the building, or whatever you want to call her, the landlord, she mentioned about not going below 23rd Street in Manhattan. At the time, there were a lot of things going down downtown, like Chelsea, down in Alphabet City, Lower East Side, Soho, NoHo area. Um, no, again, this was set in 1946, right? So she was referencing that women who went down there were seen as charlatans or prostitutes, things like that. I couldn't find any much information about that. Um, Historically, having grown up below 23rd Street on the east side, I've seen pictures of like my neighborhood being built during that time. I grew up in uh, Stuyvesant Oval, Peter Cooper, right, which is 23rd. Peter Cooper is from 23rd to 20th, from First Avenue to Avenue C, and then Stuytown is 20th to 14th Street from First Avenue to Avenue C. And our buildings were built right after World War II. Peter Cooper was meant to for the officers coming home, and Stuyvesant was for the soldiers. And yes, it was named after Peter Stuyvesant. Um, I've seen pictures, but I haven't heard stories about any of that. So maybe it's just her societal view. A lot of people look down on others, and they still do, but mainly in, the 40s and the 50s. If you didn't do things a certain way, if you weren't married, if you didn't dress a certain way, you were seen as less than, unladylike. And I think that's really what she was referencing. Now, in this moment, this Easter egg, Joe DiMaggio is a baseball player, a very famous baseball player who played for the Yankees. Um, Carter thought that she was in trouble, but she wasn't. They were just asking her this question. But I think it was trying to lead to, was she doing things that she was supposed to be doing? Episode 3, Time and Tide. Now, in this, she found a symbol and she was trying to look it up. So she had to hide what she was looking for using William Shakespeare. Obviously, William Shakespeare is some of the greatest classics in plays. I know a lot of people have trouble reading him or reading his works. I've read them since I was a kid, so I'm biased. We're also a book content page. But so she hid the other book within the book. You guys know we still do that. Here we have a mention of the famous magician Harry Houdini. And then they mention who the symbol belongs to, but they don't really explain it. So again, the landlord mentioning something that's unladylike for women to do, which was read about Freud. Sigmund Freud is a well-known psychologist who did some interesting work. He's been discredited for some things because of his history with drugs. So we don't really use Freud as much as we use Carl Jung. But again, this landlord is very much making it about the unladylikeness of reading something that's intelligent, right? You couldn't be too smart, you couldn't be too strong, you couldn't be too independent. So they're mentioning Agent Ray Walter Kremensky. He was killed by Dottie Underwood, who we will see in future episodes, especially in season 2. Episode 4, The Blitzkrieg Button. So in this, we are brought to Nuremberg prison in Germany. If you don't know about the Nuremberg trials, this is a good time to pause and look up what that is. It is just a quick summary. It is about, so the Nuremberg prison is where they held the largest ranking Nazis, and they had a huge trial after World War II to hold them accountable. Now, we're in 2024. They didn't even account for majority of the Nazis that are out there. A lot of them did escape, and they didn't find them. But during this, they begin to have an interview. So there was a battle of Fino, according to this, right? And this Nazi was saying that when they ended up in Fino, everyone was just dead. They were just gone. And they don't really know who did it. But this is going to lead on to Dottie Underwood, and that's going to be important. Okay, this is when Agent Carter finds out that 12 vials of blood were obtained from Captain America and then distributed after his death. The government had 11 to work on a super soldier serum, and Howard Stark had 1, and it was called Project Rebirth. This will come up again as the super soldiers in future shows and movies in the timeline. And then lastly, of course, we have a beautiful Easter egg of Stan Lee, the creator. You can't have an MCU without Stan Lee appearance. Well, before he passed away. So, in memory of Stan Lee. Then we have episode 5, The Iron Ceiling, which had no Easter eggs. And then episode 6, A Sin to Air, also no Easter eggs. On to episode 7, Snafu. I don't know if I said that right. So in this instance, they faked putting a bomb on this agent so that Howard could save the day and be dishonorated. Is that the word? They didn't want to arrest him after that. He saved the day. And then our final episode of the season was episode 8, Valedictation. We have a mention of Captain America. Then we have this glimpse of Agent Carter as Captain America, which is in What If. Then we have a glimpse of Dr. Arnim Zola, who was captured during the end of Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, this will come into play in future films of Captain America, specifically the Winter Soldier. So we got to keep an eye on this guy. He's evil. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you guys would be so helpful to like, comment your favorite episode of Agent Carter, and subscribe, hit that bell button. It should be right here somewhere. That way you'll be notified every time we upload. And I will see you guys next time for Agent Carter Season 2.